Welcome to Keeling Tube. Today, we are going to discuss a very important topic, shortness of breath, also known as dyspnea. This condition can be quite concerning and affects many individuals for various.
Hey guys, hope you all are doing fine. Today's topic is dyspnea. What are the various? We'll have a discussion on pulmonary function test and the basic treatment for the dyspnea. Let's begin. Abnormalities in pulmonary causes. These can be kyphoscoliosis or neuromuscular weakness like amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. The patient presents with increased work of breathing and inability to get a deep breath. There is decreased diaphragm movement and atelectasis of the alveoli. On spirometry and lung volumes, there is restrictive pattern. It is important to note which disease is restrictive and which is obstructive. And the maximal inspiratory pressure and maximal expiratory pressure, these are reduced in the neuromuscular causes. Finally, coming on to diseases of pulmonary vasculature, which includes pulmonary hypertension as well as pulmonary embolism due to thromboembolic phenomena. The patient usually present with tachypnea. There is elevated right heart pressure in patients of pulmonary hypertension, exertional hypoxemia. The diffusion capacity is reduced. We will be learning all this in pulmonary function test. ECG and echo are used to diagnose these patients, and echo can tell us about the pulmonary artery pressure. The chronic thromboembolic disease should be suspected if the patient or the person is giving history of travel by air or road or the use of oral contraceptive pills. The pulmonary artery hypertension and pulmonary thromboembolism cause dyspnea due to increased pulmonary artery pressure and the stimulation of pulmonary receptors, which we have already discussed. Now friends, coming on to cardiac and other causes. The cardiac causes which can lead to dyspnea can be left heart failure and pericardial disease. Left heart failure can be due to coronary artery disease or cardiomyopathy, and pericardial disease include restrictive pericarditis or cardiac tamponade. The patient usually present with chest tightness, air hunger. On physical findings, there are elevated left heart pressures. On auscultation, wet crackles can be heard due to cardiogenic pulmonary edema, and here comes pulsus paradoxus in pericardial disease. What is pulsus paradoxus? When we record the BP during deep inspiration, there is a fall in systolic BP up to 10 mm mercury during inspiration, because during inspiration there is more blood filling towards the right side. So systolic BP falls up to 10 mm of mercury. But when this BP falls more than 10 mm of mercury during the inspiration, systolic BP falls more than 10 mm of mercury. This is known as pulsus paradoxus, and it is seen in pericardial diseases, COPD, asthma. What investigations should be done? We have to test for BNP in acute settings, ECG, echo, and the patient may need stress testing or left heart catheterization. Coming on to the other causes, dyspnea can be seen in patients of anemia. Patients will complain breathlessness on exertion. On physical findings, pallor is usually seen, and what investigations are to be done? We will do simply a CBC for anemia and exclude the causes. The dyspnea can be experienced in deconditioning because of the poor fitness when the patients climb mountain. Dyspnea can also be psychological in the patients of anxiety, and this can also be seen in neuromuscular disorders like myasthenia gravis, which responds to pyridostigmine and intravenous immunoglobulin. This responds. Now, since we have seen there are a variety of causes which can lead to dyspnea, a graded approach is very essential. That should begin with history, followed by physical examination and selected investigations. Now guys, when we start with the physical examination, history taking and physical examination, there can be two kinds of patients. Type 1, these will be known case of any pulmonary, cardiac or neuromuscular condition and present with worsening dyspnea. Our focus on these patients should be to know whether the condition has progressed or any new condition or process has developed which is now causing dyspnea. The other type of patients are which have no prior history of any kind of disease. In these patients, our initial focus should be to determine the underlying etiology. Why it is important? Because the treatment will vary dramatically, as some patients turn out to be respiratory system cases, some cases are CVS, some are neuromuscular, and some are simply the patients of anemia. Now coming on to the history, what all features are important and should be noted during history taking. The patients can complain of either chest tightness or inability to take a deep breath, or chest tightness or inability to deep breath. These features are present because of bronchoconstriction. Bronchoconstriction, as we have already discussed in the mechanism, and the examples are bronchial asthma, COPD, and these both are obstructive airway diseases. Orthopnea means dyspnea which occur during the supine position. Orthopnea is typically a feature of congestive heart failure. It can also be seen in obesity. Why in obesity? Because of mechanical impairment of diaphragm. The diaphragm in obese persons is impaired. This can also be seen in special type of asthma which is triggered by esophageal reflux. Asthma due to esophageal reflux. So we have already discussed in the chapter of cough that esophageal reflux increases in supine position, therefore it can also trigger asthma. Nocturnal dyspnea, which is dyspnea occurring in night, is again common in CHF and bronchial asthma. Platypnea means dyspnea occurring in upright position. This is a typical feature of, it is very important, left atrial myxoma, and one complication of cirrhosis, that is hepatopulmonary syndrome. In hepatopulmonary syndrome, patient experiences dyspnea in upright position and gets relief in supine position. Acute intermittent episodic dyspnea are usually seen in MI, in the MI episodes, myocardial infarction, or any cause of bronchospasm like bronchial asthma, and also seen in pulmonary embolism. On the other hand, chronic persistent dyspnea is more typical of COPD. So here we have differentiated between bronchial asthma and COPD. In bronchial asthma, it is acute intermittent episodic dyspnea, and in COPD patients like chronic bronchitis and emphysema, it is chronic persistent dyspnea. And we have also distinguished between chronic bronchitis and emphysema on the basis of physical features in the earlier slides. Interstitial lung disease and chronic thromboembolic diseases. Chronic thromboembolic disease. We should always ask for the risk factors, if any present, like any drug which has been taken, any occupational lung disease, or history of coronary artery disease. These should be taken which can directly lead us to the cause of dyspnea. When we come to the examination of the patient, on general examination, we can note pallor in the patients of anemia, cyanosis in chronic bronchitis, which is blue bloaters. Clubbing can be seen in variety of cases like interstitial pulmonary fibrosis, ILD, bronchiectasis, bronchogenic carcinoma, it can also be seen in lung abscess, infective endocarditis, and biliary cirrhosis. Although biliary cirrhosis will not be a cause of dyspnea, but we are discussing in this clubbing. Joint swelling due to Raynaud's phenomena can give us a clue that there is some collagen vascular process that can be associated with any pulmonary disease. Now, when we discuss and record the vital signs, fever can suggest the diagnosis of any underlying infection like pneumonia, or any inflammation, any inflammatory process. Raised BP is usually seen along with CHF, tells us about diastolic dysfunction. Increased heart rate can be seen along with fever, cardiac dysfunction or deconditioning, cardiac causes, or deconditioning, climbing mountains leading to dyspnea and increased heart rate. And decrease in SpO2 can be due to